You do not need to make the same request one more time. There is a quiet truth underneath all the asking you have been doing, and it may be different from what the worried part of your mind expects. You do not have to improve the wording. You do not have to make the desire sound more spiritual. You do not have to repeat it with greater emotion. You do not have to prove that you mean it. The deepest part of what you are trying to say was already present before you found the perfect sentence. You may have been treating your desire as though it could disappear if you stopped speaking about it. You may have thought silence meant neglect. You may have thought that if you were not thinking about it, visualizing it, affirming it, praying about it, checking on it, or reminding yourself of it, then somehow you were no longer doing your part. Yet there is another possibility. The constant repeating may not be strengthening your trust at all. It may be showing you how frightened you have become of leaving your request alone. That distinction matters. There is nothing wrong with wanting something deeply. There is nothing wrong with speaking about what matters to you more than once. There is nothing wrong with returning to a prayer, an affirmation, a hope, or a longing because it brings comfort to your heart. The exhaustion begins somewhere else. It begins when repetition stops feeling like connection and starts feeling like checking. Did I say it correctly? Did I believe it enough? Was I grateful enough? Was my energy right? Did I doubt too much afterward? Did I ruin the request when I became afraid? Should I say it again now? Should I add more detail? Should I make the sentence more positive? Should I remove that one negative word? Should I start over? These questions can look innocent at first. One question becomes another, then another. Before long, what began as a wish has become an investigation. You are no longer expressing what you want. You're examining whether you expressed it correctly. You are not resting with your own heart. You are testing it. You are not listening for peace. You are listening for evidence that you made a mistake. That is a very different experience. And no new task is being given to you here. You do not need to fix the way you have been asking. You do not need a better ritual. You do not need another sequence to memorize. You do not need to repeat a sentence 33 times. Write anything on special paper. Speak only at a certain hour. Hold your body in a certain position, or create perfect certainty before you are allowed to rest. Nothing is required of you in this moment, not even confidence. If confidence is here, let it be here. If uncertainty is here, it can sit quietly too. You are not being graded on how peacefully you receive these words. You are not being measured. You are not failing because part of you is still afraid. You are not making anything worse because your mind continues to ask questions. The purpose of this moment is not to turn you into a person who never worries again. It is to help you recognize when worry has disguised itself as devotion. That disguise can be convincing. You may tell yourself that you are only being clear. You may say you are only staying focused. You may call it persistence. You may call it faith. You may call it staying positive. but your body often knows the difference before your mind admits it. One kind of repetition leaves you feeling settled. The other leaves you reaching for one more sentence, one more sign, one more confirmation, one more video, one more explanation, one more reason to believe that what you said was heard. You might recognize this pattern in small moments that seem unrelated to anything spiritual. You send a message and then read it again. You close the conversation and open it 5 minutes later. You check whether the person has seen it. You wonder whether the final sentence sounded strange. You rewrite the same message in your head even though it has already been sent. You imagine how it might have sounded from the other side. You decide you should have used a different word. Then you remember another detail you should have included. Nothing has actually happened. The message is already gone. Yet inside your mind, it is still being edited. The same thing can happen with a desire. You ask for love, then spend the next several hours wondering whether you were specific enough. You ask for guidance, then begin testing every ordinary event for hidden meaning. You ask for peace, then become anxious because peace did not arrive quickly enough. You ask for an opportunity, then watch every closed door as though it were a verdict on your worth. You ask for clarity there, and become suspicious of every moment that remains uncertain. You ask once with your heart, then fear takes over the microphone. Fear rarely says, "I am afraid." It is more clever than that. It says, "Let us make sure. Let us make sure you asked correctly. Let us make sure you really believe. Let us make sure you did not contradict yourself yesterday. Let us make sure you have not been thinking too negatively. Let us make sure you are worthy of receiving this. Let us make sure the silence does not mean something is wrong. Let us make sure nothing has gone unnoticed." And because those questions sound responsible, you can spend hours answering them without realizing that none of them actually creates safety. They only create another question. You may know the experience of checking your phone even though you checked it a minute ago. There was no sound, no vibration, no new message. Still, your hand reaches for it. You unlock the screen. Nothing. You put it down. A little time passes. The thought comes again. Maybe now. This is not because you are foolish. Your mind is searching for relief. It believes that certainty might be hiding behind the next check. For a brief second, checking feels like action. It gives restless energy somewhere to go. The same thing happens when you repeat a request because you are afraid it was not heard the first time. For a moment, repeating it feels like action. You are doing something. You are not sitting inside uncertainty. You are not facing the open space between asking and knowing. You are filling the space with words. That space can feel enormous when something matters to you. When you care deeply, waiting is rarely neutral. Waiting can touch old memories. It can remind you of times when nobody answered, times when you were overlooked, times when promises were made and forgotten, times when you had to repeat yourself to be taken seriously, times when you learned that asking once was not enough. Perhaps someone only listened after you raised your voice. Perhaps your needs were treated as inconveniences. Perhaps you became skilled at explaining yourself because simple truth did not seem to count. Perhaps you learned to prepare an argument before asking for anything at all. Perhaps you learned to soften your needs so nobody would become upset. Perhaps you added reasons, evidence, apologies, and reassurance around every request. You did not merely say, "I need help." You explained why. Then explained why needing help did not make you difficult. Then explained why the timing mattered. Then apologized for asking. Then promised you would not ask for too much. Then wondered whether you had still asked for too much. A nervous system can remember this long after the original situation has changed. So when you speak a desire into your own life and hear no immediate answer, an older part of you may become restless. It remembers what silence used to mean. Silence once meant you might have to ask again. Silence once meant you might not matter enough. Silence once meant someone had not heard you or had heard you and chosen not to respond. The mind does not always separate yesterday from today as neatly as you would like. It recognizes a familiar gap. You ask, then nothing obvious happens, and the old machinery begins. Say it again. Explain it better. Try harder. Make them understand. Do not stop until you know. This is why the repetition can feel so urgent, even when nobody has told you that urgency is required. There may be an old fear underneath it. If I stop asking, I will be forgotten. That sentence can live quietly beneath years of affirmations. It can hide beneath positivity. It can hide beneath spiritual language. It can hide beneath determination. You may believe you are trying to manifest something when part of you is actually trying to make sure you are not abandoned by silence. There is no shame in seeing that. Seeing it clearly is not an accusation. It is an act of tenderness. You are trying to protect something precious, your hope, your sense of possibility, your belief that life could still surprise you, your willingness to want after disappointment. Of course, a protective mind would become watchful around those things. Of course, it would want proof. Of course, it would check the door. Of course, it would listen for footsteps. Of course, it would ask whether anything is coming. The mistake is not that you cared. The mistake would be believing that caring requires constant surveillance. It does not. You can care without standing guard every minute. You can desire without monitoring. You can ask without cross-examining yourself afterward. You can hope without demanding that hope produce evidence on command. This can feel unfamiliar. There are people who can put a letter in a mailbox and walk away. They know the letter has been sent. They do not open the mailbox 10 seconds later to make sure it is still working. They do not chase the postal truck to repeat the contents of the envelope. They do not assume the letter becomes more valid if they send 12 copies in one afternoon. They understand a simple thing. Scent is different from unscent. Your mind may understand this perfectly with ordinary objects and still struggle to understand it emotionally. You can know that something has been expressed and still feel compelled to express it again. That is because the problem is rarely the message. The problem is the uncertainty that comes afterward. Uncertainty is where the mind begins inventing jobs. Analyze this. Interpret that. Search for meaning. Read the signs. Compare today with yesterday. Review your mood. Check whether you are aligned. Check whether you are grateful enough. Check whether you are accidentally blocking what you want. Check whether you deserve it. Check whether you secretly believe the opposite. Check whether one bad morning destroyed everything. It is remarkable how quickly inner work can become inner policing. You begin with healing, then you start monitoring whether you are healing correctly. You begin with affirmations. Then you become afraid of having the wrong thought between affirmations. You begin with self-love. Then you criticize yourself for not feeling loving enough. You begin with trust. Then you test yourself to see whether your trust is pure. You begin with release. Then you check every hour to see whether you have released enough. The mind can turn almost anything into an examination, even peace, especially peace. Because peace asks you to stop doing something that anxiety has convinced you is keeping you safe. You may have built routines around that anxiety without realizing it. You wake and immediately check for news, check for messages, check the mood of the room, check your body, check whether yesterday's worry is still there, check whether someone replied, check whether money moved, check whether plans changed, check whether the person you are waiting for has appeared. Check whether you feel different enough to believe something is happening. By the time your feet touch the floor, you may already be gathering evidence. Then the day continues. You replay conversations in the shower. You rehearse future ones while making breakfast. You create answers to questions nobody has asked. You predict disappointment and prepare your response. You imagine success and then warn yourself not to get excited. You tell yourself not to obsess while continuing to think about the thing every few minutes. You try to be present while secretly asking the present to prove something about the future. This is exhausting, not because you are weak, because surveillance is exhausting. The mind was never designed to hold every possibility at once and still remain peaceful. Yet a frightened mind will try. It will keep 10 imaginary doors open. It will listen behind all of them. It will ask what could happen, what should happen, what might not happen, what it would mean if nothing happened, what it would mean if the wrong thing happened, what you should do if you receive what you want, what you should do if you do not. And because none of those futures is here yet, there is no final answer. So the mind keeps asking. This is important to understand. A question without a present answer can become a loop. The loop creates tension. The tension makes you want certainty. You search for certainty. You do not find enough. So you ask the question again. The second asking produces a momentary sense of control. Then uncertainty returns. So you ask again. The problem is not that the universe needs more information. The problem is that fear keeps demanding a receipt, a signed receipt, a stamped receipt, a second copy, a tracking number, an estimated arrival, a guarantee that nothing can interfere, a promise that no delay means denial, a promise that no detour means failure, a promise that no unexpected event can change the outcome, a promise that the final result will look exactly like the picture in your mind. Fear can call all of this trust while refusing to rest until every unknown is removed. But that is not trust. That is negotiation with uncertainty. And uncertainty rarely accepts the terms. You might spend years trying to create a life in which nothing important is uncertain. There is no such life. Love contains uncertainty. Creative work contains uncertainty. Healing contains uncertainty. Relationships contain uncertainty. New beginnings contain uncertainty. Even decisions made with great wisdom contain uncertainty. You can make the best choice available and still not know every consequence. You can act with care and still be surprised. You can prepare and still encounter what preparation could not predict. This does not make life unsafe by definition. It makes life alive. The mind wants a map with every future road already highlighted. Life gives you enough light for the step you are standing on. That difference can feel cruel when you are frightened, but it can become freeing when you stop treating every unknown as a problem you are required to solve immediately. You may not need another answer. You may need a different relationship with unanswered space. That is where this begins. Not by forcing yourself to believe that everything will happen exactly as you wish, not by pretending you are never afraid, not by denying disappointment, not by calling every delay a blessing before you know what it means, not by smiling through something that hurts, not by using spiritual words to cover real grief. This is quieter than that. You are learning to stop putting yourself on trial every time life becomes uncertain. You are learning to stop accusing yourself of asking badly. You are learning to stop turning a desire into evidence against your own peace. There are people who hear a delayed answer and immediately think, something must be wrong with me. That thought can arrive so quickly that it barely feels like a thought. It feels like fact. The opportunity did not appear. I must have failed. The relationship changed. I must not have been enough. The money is still tight. I must be doing something wrong. I still feel sad. I must not be healing correctly. I still want reassurance. I must not have enough faith. This is where self-help can become harsh if you are not careful. A beautiful idea can be turned into a weapon. A teaching intended to support you can become another reason to blame yourself. If every good thing is presented as proof of correct thinking, then every painful thing begins to look like proof that your thoughts were wrong. That is not a compassionate way to understand a human life. You are affected by many things, other people's choices, circumstances you did not create, systems larger than one person, timing you cannot control, loss, chance, history, bodies, economies, families, relationships, decisions made around you. There is no wisdom in reducing all of this to the idea that you failed to think correctly. Your thoughts matter because they shape your inner experience and can influence choices. They do not make you responsible for every event that enters your life. You do not need that burden. Set it down. If something difficult has happened, you do not have to search through your past thoughts trying to discover which one caused it. If someone hurt you, you do not need to ask what belief made them do it. If you were disappointed, you do not need to turn disappointment into a spiritual accusation against yourself. If you are grieving, grief is not evidence of poor alignment. If you are afraid, fear is not evidence that you have ruined your future. You are allowed to be human while still choosing thoughts that support you. That is a kinder path. A useful affirmation does not threaten you. It does not say, believe this perfectly or lose what you want. It says, here is a thought you may practice because it gives your mind somewhere kinder to live. That is enough. You do not have to turn an affirmation into a contract with reality. You do not have to make your nervous system perform certainty. You can speak a supportive sentence and still have a difficult day. You can trust more deeply and still feel moments of doubt. You can move forward while part of you looks backward. You can grow without becoming emotionally spotless. You are a living person, not a test result. My dear, think about how often you have demanded proof from yourself. Proof that you have changed. Proof that you have healed. Proof that you have learned the lesson. Proof that you are ready. Proof that you are positive. Proof that you are worthy. Proof that you have finally become the person who receives good things. What if none of those things needs to be proven tonight, this afternoon, or at any particular hour? What if the court is not in session? What if there is no judge? What if the part of you standing at the witness box has been answering questions nobody needed to ask? You may have been both the accused and the interrogator. One part of you says, I want this. Another part says, prove that you deserve it. One part says, I am ready to move forward. Another says, then explain why you were afraid yesterday. One part says, I trust. Another says, if you trust, why did you check your phone? One part says, I am healing. Another says, then why did that memory still hurt? One part says, I am learning peace. Another says, then why are you anxious now? No wonder you feel tired. You have been trying to live while answering an endless cross-examination. And every answer creates another question because the interrogation was never designed to discover truth. It was designed to eliminate uncertainty. That is why it cannot finish. If the standard is absolute certainty, no human answer will ever satisfy it. You could receive good news today, and the mind might immediately ask whether it will last. You could meet someone kind and wonder when they will change. You could receive money and worry about losing it. You could feel peaceful and wonder how long the peace will remain. You could hear exactly the words you hoped to hear and still question whether they were sincere. More evidence does not always calm a mind that has learned to distrust rest. Sometimes evidence only gives anxiety new material. This is why the shift cannot depend entirely on receiving the perfect sign. The mind that demands signs can reinterpret any sign. A green light becomes meaningful. Then you wonder whether you were only seeing what you wanted to see. A coincidence feels reassuring. Then you question whether it was merely coincidence. Someone says something encouraging. Then you wonder whether they were just being polite. A door opens. Then you worry it is the wrong door. A door closes. Then you worry you missed your chance. You can turn anything into another hearing. Anything. That is why peace must begin somewhere deeper than evidence. It begins when you recognize that not every uncertainty deserves interrogation. Some things need action. Some things need a conversation. Some things need a boundary. Some things need research. Some things need patience. Some things need grief. Some things need practical help. Some things need to be left alone for a while. Wisdom is not refusing all questions. Wisdom is knowing which questions are useful and which ones are keeping you trapped under the same light. A useful question opens a door. What can I do today? What information do I actually have? Is this situation safe for me? What boundary is needed? Who can support me? What choice is mine to make? Those questions can lead somewhere. An interrogating question circles your worth. Why am I still like this? What is wrong with me? Why can everyone else trust except me? Why did I ruin it again? What if I am blocking everything? What if this delay means I do not deserve it? These questions rarely produce wisdom. They produce pressure. And pressure can make you mistake harshness for honesty. You can speak to yourself in a brutal tone and call it self-awareness. You can analyze every weakness and call it growth. You can refuse yourself rest and call it discipline. You can repeat the same request through tears and call it faith. But something inside you knows when the light has become too bright. You know that feeling. There is a kind of inner brightness that does not illuminate. It exposes. It turns every small movement into evidence. Every doubt becomes suspicious. Every fear becomes a confession. Every ordinary human reaction becomes something to explain. You sit beneath it mentally and try to produce the correct answer. You tell yourself that once you find the correct answer, you will be allowed to relax. So you keep searching. Why do I want this so badly? Do I want it for the right reason? Am I attached? Should I detach? Am I too detached? Do I need to surrender? Have I surrendered enough? Should I visualize? Should I stop visualizing? Should I act? Should I wait? Should I trust? How do I know whether I am really trusting? The questions become brighter, sharper, less forgiving. You may feel as though some invisible examiner is waiting for you to slip, but often the examiner is an old voice you learned to carry. A voice shaped by moments when mistakes had consequences. A voice shaped by criticism. A voice shaped by being misunderstood. A voice shaped by having to explain your feelings before they were considered valid. A voice shaped by environments where relaxing too soon did not feel wise. This is why I do not want you to attack that voice. It was trying to protect you too. Even the inner interrogator began as a protector. It thought questioning everything would prevent pain. It thought if it discovered every possible flaw before life did, you could stay prepared. It thought if it rehearsed every disappointment, disappointment would hurt less. It thought if it kept you alert, nobody could surprise you. It thought if it demanded perfect answers from you, other people would have fewer reasons to reject you. It thought control was kindness. The protector simply became exhausted. And then it exhausted you. You do not heal that by placing it under another lamp. You do not say, I should not think this way. You do not interrogate the interrogation. That only creates a second courtroom. Instead, you begin with recognition. Something in me has been trying very hard to make uncertainty safe. That is different. There is compassion in that sentence. There is room. There is no accusation. You can see the habit without making the habit your identity. You can say, yes, I have been checking. You can say, yes, I have been repeating myself because I was afraid. You can say, yes, part of me believed that if I stopped asking, everything might disappear. None of those admissions makes you weak. They make the pattern visible. And what becomes visible no longer has to run your life from the shadows. You can begin to recognize the exact moment the request changes into interrogation. At first, the sentence is clean. I would love support. I want a healthier relationship with myself. I want meaningful work. I want to feel safe. I want clarity. I want enough. I want love. There is openness in the original desire. Then the second voice enters. But when? How? From whom? What if not? What if I missed it? What if I asked for the wrong thing? What if I am not ready? What if someone else gets it first? What if I need to become better before I am allowed to receive? The original request was one sentence. The interrogation can become 1,000. This is where you can begin to choose differently, not by silencing desire, by protecting it from the courtroom that forms around it. A desire does not need to defend its existence before you are permitted to acknowledge it. You can want love without writing a legal argument for why you deserve love. You can want rest without proving that you have worked hard enough. You can want more money without turning the desire into evidence that you are ungrateful. You can want change without hating the life you have now. You can want companionship without shaming yourself for loneliness. You can want recognition without pretending you are above needing human appreciation. You can want an answer without becoming your own interrogator while you wait. This is where the quieter truth begins. Your asking is not the problem. The harsh light you place over the asking is the problem. And there is a memory hidden inside that image. Picture a room after everyone else has gone. Not a beautiful room, not an inspirational room, a plain one. Still, a table, a chair, and above the table, one hard lamp. Nothing softens it. The light falls straight down. Everything outside its circle disappears. Inside the circle, every mark looks larger. Every flaw looks sharper. Every movement seems important. You sit beneath that light with your own request placed on the table in front of you, not because anyone forced you into the room. You came because you wanted certainty. You thought certainty might be waiting there. You thought if you examined the desire carefully enough, truth would finally confess itself. So the questions began. Did I ask correctly? Was I sincere? Do I really believe? Why did I doubt? Why am I still waiting? What does the silence mean? The lamp burns above you. You answer. Another question comes. You answer again. Another arrives. Hours pass inside the mind this way. Nothing new is discovered, only fatigue. Then one night, something changes, not outside the room, inside you. Your hand reaches upward toward that severe light, and for the first time you understand that the next answer is not what you need. What you need is darkness, not the darkness of fear, not the darkness of losing your way, the darkness that comes when a harsh light is finally switched off, the darkness that lets your eyes stop straining, the darkness that gives the room back its shape, the darkness that allows you to see that the lamp was never revealing the whole truth. It was only revealing whatever happened to sit directly beneath it. That is what interrogation does. It narrows, it isolates. It takes one question and makes it look like the entire world. It takes one delay and makes it feel like a verdict. It takes one unanswered message and turns it into a story about your worth. It takes one uncertain day and makes you believe your whole future is uncertain in the same way. Under that kind of light, perspective disappears. Everything becomes evidence. You begin reading the smallest details as though they are part of a case against you. Your tiredness becomes evidence that you have lost faith. Your frustration becomes evidence that you are blocking something. Your impatience becomes evidence that you are not ready. Your sadness becomes evidence that you are thinking wrongly. Your ordinary human reactions become suspicious simply because you are looking at them under a lamp designed to expose. This is what a harsh light does. It makes everything look guilty. And when you have spent enough time beneath it, you stop questioning the lamp. You begin questioning yourself. That is the trick of it. You think the light is neutral. You think it is only showing you what is there. But the quality of the light changes what you see. A face under a harsh bulb looks different from the same face beside a candle. The face has not changed. The light has. A room under fluorescent brightness can feel cold, revealing, unforgiving. The same room under warm light can feel inhabited, safe, human. Nothing in the room needs to be hidden for the room to be treated kindly. This is the shift. You do not have to hide from the truth. You have to stop assuming truth only appears under pressure. There are truths that do not come forward while they are being interrogated. There are truths that emerge only when the questions stop chasing them. There are feelings that cannot explain themselves while they are being cross-examined. There are decisions that become clearer only when you stop demanding immediate certainty. There are desires that remain sincere even after you stop repeating them. The room does not become dishonest because the lamp goes out. It becomes more whole. That is what you are learning now. You may have mistaken intensity for sincerity. You may have thought that if you wanted something deeply, you needed to keep proving the depth of that wanting. If you cared, you should think about it. If you cared more, you should think about it more often. If you cared enough, you should never forget it. But what if obsession is not proof of love? What if repetition is not proof of faith? What if peace is not proof that you have stopped caring? Think about someone you truly love. Do you have to say their name every minute to prove the love exists? Do you have to repeat the history of the relationship every morning so the relationship remains real? Does love disappear because you become absorbed in washing dishes, answering an email, walking outside, laughing at something unrelated? Of course not. Real things can remain real while your attention moves elsewhere. A desire can remain meaningful without occupying the center of your mind all day. A request can remain expressed even while you live. That may sound obvious until you try it, because there is a part of you that may whisper, "If I let this go for even a few hours, perhaps I am giving up." That is where the confusion begins. Letting go of interrogation is not giving up the desire. Setting down the question is not surrendering the hope. Stopping the repetition is not saying you no longer care. You are not being asked to become indifferent. You are being invited to stop confusing pressure with devotion. There is a difference between holding something in your heart and gripping it in your fist. The heart can hold without squeezing. The hand tires. You know what gripping feels like. It creates a subtle readiness in the body. The shoulders lift. The jaw tightens. The stomach waits. The mind scans. You may tell yourself you are calm while your whole body remains prepared for news, prepared for the message, prepared for the answer, prepared for the sign, prepared for the change, prepared for the thing that will finally tell you whether you may relax. And because the body is waiting for permission to relax, it never fully rests. This is why you can spend a quiet day feeling tired. Nothing dramatic happens, yet something inside you has been standing guard. You check, you interpret, you compare, you wait. You revisit, you rehearse. The guard never sits down. The interrogation room stays lit. No wonder you feel depleted. The first act of trust is not forcing yourself to believe that everything will go exactly as planned. The first act of trust may be much smaller. It may be deciding that you do not need to ask the same question again right now. That is all. Right now. Not forever. Not as a rule. Not as a spiritual performance. Just this moment. You have already said what matters. You can let the sentence rest. If another insight comes later, you can listen. If practical action is needed, you can act. If circumstances change, you can respond. But you do not have to recreate the original desire every hour to keep it alive. There is a quiet dignity in that. You are allowed to speak once and believe your own words counted. You are allowed to trust that your heart was clear even if the sentence was imperfect. You are allowed to stop correcting your sincerity. This is where the candle enters, not as decoration, not as a ritual you must perform, as an image. You are still in the same room. The same chair is there, the same table. The same questions are nearby. The harsh lamp has gone dark. At first, the room feels unfamiliar because you have relied on that brightness for so long. You may even miss it. that surprises you. Why would you miss something that exhausted you? Because exhaustion can still feel familiar, and familiarity can feel safer than freedom. The lamp gave you a job. Question. Analyze. Check. Correct. Repeat. Without the lamp, you are no longer sure what to do with your hands. You are no longer sure where to look. Silence feels louder. The room becomes wider. That wide space may feel uncomfortable at first. Then you strike a match. A small flame appears. Not enough to interrogate anything, enough to see. You place a candle on the table. The light does not demand. It accompanies. That matters. The lamp said, "Explain yourself." The candle says, "You may sit here." The lamp said, "Prove it." The candle says, "You already know what you meant." The lamp said, "Find the flaw." The candle says, "Stay with what is true." The lamp said, "Do not stop until you are certain." The candle says, "Certainty is not required for this moment." This is the kind of light trust creates. It does not erase every shadow. It does not promise that you will understand everything. It does not expose every corner of the future. It gives you enough warmth to remain with yourself while you do not know. That is a much deeper form of safety. You may have spent years looking for the kind of safety that comes from having every answer. This is another kind. The safety of not abandoning peace simply because an answer has not arrived yet. The safety of knowing that uncertainty does not automatically mean danger. The safety of recognizing that a quiet room is still a room. The safety of letting unanswered space exist without filling it with accusations. This does not mean you ignore reality. Trust is not blindness. Trust is not pretending. Trust is not refusing to gather information when information matters. If you need to make a decision, you can look at facts. If you need to ask someone a direct question, you can ask. If you need clarification, you can seek it. If you need to change a plan, you can change it. Trust does not make you passive. It makes your action cleaner. There is a difference between action and panic. Action says, "This is mine to do." Panic says, "If I do not do something immediately, everything may fall apart." Action can breathe. Panic cannot. Action uses information. Panic invents information. Action responds to what is present. Panic responds to imagined futures. That is why the candle is useful as a symbol. It gives enough light for the next real thing, not every possible thing, not every imagined outcome, not every story the mind can create at 2 a.m. The next real thing, this conversation, this choice, this boundary, this email, this meal, this hour, this breath. The interrogation lamp wants the entire case solved. The candle asks what is actually here. You may already feel the difference. One is enormous, the other is intimate. One puts the future on trial, the other brings you back to the table. This is where forcing and allowing begin to separate. Forcing says, I must produce the outcome. Allowing says, I can participate without controlling every movement. Forcing says, if I do everything perfectly, nothing can go wrong. Allowing says, I can do what is mine and release what is not. Forcing says, I need proof before I relax. Allowing says, I can relax enough to see more clearly. Forcing says, the answer must look the way I imagined. Allowing says, I can remain open to forms I have not predicted. This does not mean you accept less than what is healthy for you. It does not mean you call disappointment a gift before you are ready. It does not mean you make yourself grateful for harm. It means you stop trying to control life through self-interrogation. There is no useful future in asking yourself the same fearful question 30 times. There is no hidden door that appears only after the 31st repetition. Fear wants you to believe there is. Fear says, one more thought may solve it. One more affirmation may secure it. One more check may reveal it. One more interpretation may explain it. One more sign may finally calm me. But if signs were enough, the previous signs would have been enough. If reassurance were enough, the previous reassurance would have been enough. If checking were enough, the previous check would have been enough. This is not a criticism. It is a clue. The hunger is not for more information. The hunger is for relief. Relief cannot be permanently delivered by an action that keeps teaching the mind there is something dangerous to check. Every time you check unnecessarily, the mind learns, good thing we checked. Every time you repeat because silence feels unsafe, the mind learns, good thing we repeated. Every time you search for a sign because uncertainty feels unbearable, the mind learns, good thing we searched. The temporary relief becomes proof that the ritual was necessary. That is how loops become strong. And that is why breaking them can feel strange. At first, not checking may feel worse than checking. Not repeating may feel more anxious than repeating. Not searching may make the mind louder. This does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means the old job has been interrupted. The guard is still standing. It does not yet know the shift is over. So you sit beside the candle. No argument, no command, no punishment. The urge comes. Ask again. You do not fight the urge. You recognize it. The mind wants a receipt. The urge rises. Check again. You recognize it. The mind wants certainty. The thought comes. What if silence means nothing is happening? You recognize it. The mind is turning quiet into evidence. You do not have to answer every thought that knocks. That is another form of trust. A thought can arrive without becoming an assignment. You can hear it without obeying it. You can say, I know why you are here. Then return to the candle. No drama, no battle, no need to win. There is something deeply healing about no longer treating every fearful thought as a question that deserves a response. Some thoughts are not questions. They are echoes. They sound like questions because they end with a question mark, but they are echoes of old uncertainty. What if I am forgotten? What if I am not enough? What if the answer is no? What if I waited too long? What if I trusted the wrong thing? Those thoughts may not be asking for information at all. They may be asking for companionship. They may need to hear, I am here. Not, here are 17 reasons everything will work out. Not, here is proof. Not, here is another prediction. Only, I am here with you while we do not know. That is candle language. The lamp wants conclusions. The candle can live with presence. This changes how you speak to yourself. Imagine that you are waiting for something important. The old voice says, why has it not happened? Under the lamp, you begin answering. Because I doubted. Because I delayed. Because I was not ready. Because I said something wrong. Because I should have done more. Because I should have known better. You produce explanations because uncertainty feels intolerable. Beside the candle, the same question can become quieter. Why has it not happened? And the answer can be honest. I do not know yet. That sentence may be more peaceful than 20 invented reasons. I do not know yet. There is no failure inside it. There is no accusation. There is no false promise. There is space. The mind may dislike that space. It prefers a painful answer to no answer. At least pain feels definite. At least I know it is my fault can feel safer than I do not know. But false certainty is still false. You do not need to blame yourself to make uncertainty feel organized. You can leave some things unorganized. You can leave some questions open. You can place them on the table and refuse to shine the harsh light on them. That is not avoidance when nothing useful can be done in this moment. That is discernment. This is especially important when you are working with spiritual ideas. A spiritual belief should not become a courtroom where you prosecute yourself. If you speak to the universe, life, God, your own deeper wisdom, or whatever language feels meaningful to you, the relationship does not have to be one of repeated pleading. It can become conversation, and conversation contains silence. You speak, you listen, you live, you respond. You do not have to fill every quiet space with another request. There is humility in accepting that not every answer arrives in words. There is also humility in accepting that some outcomes are shaped by factors beyond your control. You can influence your life without controlling every part of it. You can make choices without becoming the sole author of every event. You can practice hope without pretending hope is a guarantee. You can use affirmations without turning them into magical requirements. You can desire change without making yourself responsible for orchestrating every detail. This is why the candle does not illuminate the whole room. If it did, it would become another lamp. Its limitation is part of the teaching. It gives enough to stay, enough to breathe, enough to see your hands, enough to recognize the request on the table, enough to understand that the request has not vanished just because you stopped staring at it. The paper is still there. The words are still there. The meaning is still there. Nothing has been erased. You did not lose it by resting. You did not weaken it by turning your attention elsewhere. You did not betray it by laughing. You did not cancel it by having a bad day. You did not disqualify yourself by becoming discouraged. You did not undo your sincerity because fear visited. This may be one of the most important truths in the room. Your desire is not as fragile as anxiety says it is. Anxiety tells you that one wrong thought can destroy everything. One doubtful morning, one angry moment, one imperfect sentence, 1 hour when you forget to affirm, one day when you feel hopeless, one moment when you question the whole thing. That is an impossible standard. If anything good in your life required perfect emotional consistency, you would have received very little. Human beings are not emotionally consistent. You can feel grateful at breakfast and discouraged by lunch. You can believe in yourself on Monday and question everything on Tuesday. You can feel strong in one conversation and shaky in another. You can want change and fear change at the same time. You can be ready and still grieve what you are leaving. You can trust and still have thoughts that do not sound trusting. You are complex. That is not a defect. The candle does not demand that you become simple. It only asks you to stop treating complexity as guilt. There are nights when your inner room may still become bright again. The old lamp may flicker on. You may catch yourself analyzing, repeating, checking, building arguments, trying to force certainty into existence. That moment does not mean you failed. You know where the switch is now. That changes everything. You know that the lamp is a tool, not the truth. You know that harshness is not the only way to see. You know that questions can be put down. You know that you can return to another kind of light. And this is where the secret hidden inside that room finally reveals itself. You thought the truth would appear after you answered enough questions. You thought the right explanation would free you. You thought if you could only identify the exact reason, the exact blockage, the exact mistake, the exact meaning of the delay, then the interrogation would end. But the truth did not come out because you finally answered correctly. The truth came out when you stopped interrogating. It had been sitting there the whole time. Quiet, almost ordinary. You had asked honestly. You had cared sincerely. You had not committed some hidden offense against your own future. There was nothing to confess. The truth was innocent. That is why the candle mattered. Under the harsh light, everything looked suspicious. Under the softer light, you could finally see what pressure had distorted. Your desire was not guilty. Your doubt was not guilty. Your waiting was not guilty. Your humanity was not guilty. You did not need to build a case for being worthy of what you hoped for. And perhaps the deepest relief is this: you do not need to keep questioning yourself in order to prove that you care. The interrogation can end before the outcome arrives. That is the freedom you have been overlooking. You do not have to wait for external certainty before creating internal peace. You do not need the final answer before putting out the harsh light. The light can go out now. The candle can remain. And there is one more thing the candle will eventually show you. Something quieter than reassurance. Something more useful than another sign. It will show you what becomes possible when trust is no longer something you perform for an outcome, but something you practice in the way you treat yourself while the outcome is still unknown. That is the next part of the room. The next part of the room is learning how to live beside the candle without turning it into another test. That matters because the mind can take even a peaceful idea and make it perform. You can hear the word trust and immediately ask whether you are trusting enough. You can hear the word release and begin checking whether you have released completely. You can hear the word surrender and start measuring how surrendered you feel. Then the candle becomes another lamp. The vocabulary changes, but the pressure remains. You are still examining yourself, still asking whether you are doing it correctly, still looking for proof that the inner work has succeeded. This is why trust has to become simpler. Trust is not a feeling you must maintain all day. It is not a mood. It is not an emotional state you earn by removing every doubtful thought. It is not a performance of calm. It is not pretending that nothing matters. Trust can exist in the middle of uncertainty. It can exist beside disappointment. It can exist while you still have questions. It can exist on a day when you do not feel especially spiritual. It can exist while you are taking practical action. It can exist while you are asking for help. It can exist while you are changing direction. Trust is not the absence of movement. It is the absence of self-punishment around the movement. You can make a phone call without telling yourself that the call must fix everything. You can send an application without making the application a verdict on your future. You can have a difficult conversation without deciding that its outcome determines your worth. You can ask someone where they stand without begging them to give you an identity. You can seek medical care without deciding that needing care means your affirmations failed. You can speak with a therapist, counselor, doctor, financial professional, legal professional, spiritual advisor, trusted friend, or supportive community without treating outside support as evidence that you were not strong enough. The candle does not tell you to sit still while something needs attention. It helps you distinguish attention from interrogation. That distinction becomes clearer when you ask one question. Does this thought lead me toward a useful next step, or does it lead me back toward myself as the problem? If it leads toward a real next step, there may be wisdom in it. If it repeatedly leads back to your worth, your deservingness, your spiritual purity, or your supposed failure to control the future, the lamp may be turning on again. You can learn the difference, not perfectly, not immediately, through practice. Suppose you are waiting to hear back about work. A useful thought might say, I can follow up on Tuesday. That gives you an action. The interrogation says, why has nobody answered? Was my application weak? Did I sound desperate? Did I ask for too much? Should I have written the email differently? Does this mean I am not meant for better work? The first thought gives you a next step. The second gives you a trial. Suppose someone you care about becomes distant. A useful thought might say, I can ask directly what has changed. The interrogation says, what did I do? When did I become too much? Which message caused this? Should I have been quieter, more interesting, less available, more available? Again, one path leads toward reality. The other leads toward self-prosecution. Suppose you want greater financial stability. A useful thought may say, I can look at the numbers, reduce one expense, ask for advice, improve a skill, pursue another opportunity, or make a practical plan. The interrogation says, why am I still here? What is wrong with my mindset? Why can other people receive abundance and I cannot? Which thought is blocking me? One path works with life. The other works against you. This is not about rejecting inner reflection. Reflection can be wise. The problem is the tone of the room. You can ask yourself questions beside a candle. You can look honestly at your choices. You can admit where you avoided something. You can acknowledge a habit that is no longer serving you. You can apologize. You can change. You can learn. Honesty does not require cruelty. A truthful voice does not have to sound like an interrogator. You can say, I wish I had handled that differently, without saying, I ruin everything. You can say, I need to improve this, without saying, I am not enough. You can say, I made a mistake, without turning the mistake into your identity. You can say, I do not know what happens next, without deciding that uncertainty is proof of failure. The candle makes room for proportion. One difficult moment remains one difficult moment. One delay remains one delay. One rejection remains one rejection. One mistake remains one mistake. You stop turning single events into total definitions. That is a form of peace. It is also a form of maturity. You do not need to exaggerate your pain to take it seriously. You do not need to exaggerate your mistake to learn from it. You do not need to exaggerate uncertainty to prepare for it. The mind often believes intensity creates safety. It says, if I worry enough, I will be ready. If I criticize myself first, nobody else can surprise me. If I imagine the worst, it will hurt less. If I keep asking, I cannot be forgotten. If I stay tense, I will not miss the sign. But tension is not the same as readiness. Self-criticism is not the same as responsibility. Worry is not the same as preparation. Repetition is not the same as trust. You can prepare and still be kind to yourself. You can care and still rest. You can hope and still live the day that is actually here. There is a particular freedom in doing ordinary things while something important remains unresolved. Making tea, folding clothes, walking to the store, answering a message, cleaning a room, sitting near a window, eating lunch, laughing with someone, reading a page, finishing a small task. These moments may seem unrelated to the request you have made. They are not. They are evidence that your life is larger than the unanswered question. That is what the lamp hides. Under the lamp, the request becomes the whole room. Beside the candle, the room returns. The walls return. The door returns. The chair returns. Your hands return. Your breathing returns. The rest of your life returns. You begin to understand that waiting does not have to consume the entire landscape. Something can matter deeply without becoming the only thing that matters. You can want an answer and still have an afternoon. You can want change and still enjoy a meal. You can want love and still belong to yourself in the meantime. You can want a breakthrough and still honor the ordinary life happening before it. You can care about tomorrow without sacrificing today to surveillance. This is where trust becomes lived rather than spoken. Not in how intensely you repeat the right words, in how you treat yourself between the words, in whether you let yourself eat when you are anxious, in whether you sleep when nothing can be solved tonight, in whether you stop refreshing the screen, in whether you let the unanswered message remain unanswered for an hour without writing a story about yourself, in whether you step outside, in whether you make the appointment, in whether you say no, in whether you leave what is harming you, in whether you ask for real support instead of demanding that an affirmation carry a weight it was never meant to carry. This is important. Peace is not permission for harm. Trust is not staying in a place where you are unsafe. Acceptance is not tolerating mistreatment. A spiritual idea should never require you to remain in danger, ignore abuse, neglect your health, avoid necessary treatment, dismiss serious financial or legal problems, or pretend that pain is not real. If you are being harmed, a boundary can be an act of love. Leaving can be an act of wisdom. Asking for help can be an act of strength. Speaking with trusted people, community support, or qualified professionals can stand beside affirmations, reflection, prayer, and inner work. These words are here to support well-being. They are not a replacement for medical, psychological, financial, legal, or other professional care when that care is needed. The candle does not ask you to sit peacefully in a burning room. It helps you see the door. That is the difference. There is a kind of spiritual language that can accidentally make people believe they must accept every circumstance in order to prove they are evolved. You do not need to prove anything that way. There are moments when love says stay. There are moments when love says speak. There are moments when love says leave. There are moments when love says call someone. There are moments when love says rest. There are moments when love says enough. The question is not, what choice makes me look most spiritual? The question is, what choice respects life, truth, safety, and dignity here? That question belongs beside the candle. No interrogation, no performance, no shame. And when the situation is not dangerous, when there is nothing more useful to do today, wakiwati. Hen, you have acted where action was yours. Another kind of courage becomes possible. You stop reopening the case. You let the unanswered part remain unanswered. You let tomorrow hold what belongs to tomorrow. You let another person have their own process. You let timing exist beyond your control. You let silence be silence instead of forcing it to become a prediction. You may be surprised by how much energy returns when you do this. Not because every problem disappears, because you stop spending energy on imaginary hearings. Think about the mental effort required to argue with a future that has not happened. You prepare evidence. You produce defenses. You rehearse disappointment. You rehearse explanations. You build backup plans for backup plans. You answer accusations nobody has made. You apologize in conversations that exist only in your mind. You prove your worth to people who are not in the room. You try to solve outcomes that have not arrived. Then you wonder why you are tired. There is nothing wrong with planning. Planning has an end point. Interrogation does not. Planning says, here are the 3 things I can do. Interrogation says, and what if those fail? Planning adjusts. Interrogation multiplies. Planning uses the candle. Interrogation turns the lamp toward every shadow and demands a confession. You are allowed to choose enough planning, enough checking, enough explaining, enough asking, enough analysis for today. That word can feel powerful. Enough. not because you no longer care, because you care about your peace too. You care about the quality of the life you are living while the answer unfolds. You care about the person sitting in the room, you. That person has been questioned enough. You may not realize how moving it can be to stop demanding another explanation from yourself. You have been answering for years. Why are you sensitive? Why do you need reassurance? Why are you still sad? Why did you stay? Why did you leave? Why did you trust them? Why did you not trust yourself? Why did you wait? Why did you rush? Why did you choose that? Why did you not know? Some questions may have useful answers. Some may never have one. Some belong to an earlier version of you who did what they could with what they understood at the time. You do not have to drag that version of yourself back into the room every night. You can stop questioning them. You can say, you were trying to get through it. You can say, you did not know what you know now. You can say, you were afraid. You can say, you wanted love. You can say, you wanted safety. You can say, you wanted to be seen. You can say, you made choices from the tools you had. Compassion does not erase responsibility. It makes responsibility usable. Shame says, you are the problem. Compassion says, there is something here to understand. Shame freezes. Compassion can move. That is why the candle is not weak. Soft light is not weak light. It reveals without humiliating. It gives you enough visibility to choose. You do not need to be scorched by truth in order to learn from it. The same is true of the request you have been repeating. You can look at it now, not under interrogation, beside the candle. Maybe the request is written on a small piece of paper. Maybe it is only a sentence in your mind. You know what it says. You have known for some time. It may be about love, healing, work, money, home, a relationship, a decision, a new beginning, an ending, a sense of direction, a feeling of belonging, a wish you have been carrying quietly. Whatever it is, imagine that you do not add anything to it. No explanation, no defense, no deadline, no second version, no improved wording. You only let the original desire be visible. There it is. And now comes a sentence that may feel simple enough to underestimate. Do not rush through it. Do not try to make yourself believe it perfectly. Hear it first. I trust that what I have asked for has been heard, and I release the need to ask again. There may be a word in that sentence your mind resists. Trust. It may say, but how can I trust when I do not know? That question makes sense. Trust does not require knowing. If you knew, you would not need trust. Trust lives specifically where certainty ends. That does not mean blind trust in every person. It does not mean ignoring evidence. It does not mean handing your judgment away. This trust is about the relationship you have with your own expressed desire. It says, I do not have to repeat myself from fear. That is enough. Say it again, more softly inside yourself. I trust that what I have asked for has been heard, and I release the need to ask again. Do not measure what happens. Do not search your body for proof that the sentence worked. You do not need a wave of emotion. You do not need tears. You do not need relief on command. The sentence is not an exam. It is a place to sit. I trust that what I have asked for has been heard, and I release the need to ask again. There, no fireworks, no verdict, only a sentence beside a candle. Your mind may immediately object, but I do not trust that. Good. Now something honest is in the room. You do not need to lie to yourself. An affirmation should not require dishonesty. If the full sentence feels too far away, come closer. Make the distance smaller. Do not jump from fear to certainty. Move from fear to willingness. Willingness is enough for today. You can say, I am willing to stop interrogating what I have already expressed. That may be more believable. It does not require certainty about the outcome, me. It does not ask you to know what life will do. It only asks whether you are willing to treat yourself differently while you wait. I am willing to stop interrogating what I have already expressed. There is strength in willingness. It leaves the door open. You do not have to announce that you are completely free from the old habit. You are willing. That is movement. You do not have to say you never need reassurance. You are willing to recognize when reassurance has become repetition. You do not have to claim that uncertainty no longer affects you. You are willing to stop using uncertainty as a weapon against yourself. You do not have to promise that you will never relight the lamp. You are learning to recognize what the light does. That is enough. There may be days when the full affirmation feels natural. There may be days when only the fallback feels true. There may be days when even willingness feels difficult. On those days, make it smaller. The request has been expressed. That is fact. The question can rest for now. That is possible. I do not need another answer this minute. That may be enough. There is no prize for choosing the strongest sentence. Choose the sentence your nervous system can actually sit beside. The point is not to force belief. The point is to stop forcing yourself. That changes the entire atmosphere. You are no longer trying to make the candle brighter. You are letting it be what it is. A little light, a little warmth. Enough for now. This is where you begin to see another old habit. You may have been asking for an outcome when what you were actually desperate for was the feeling you believed the outcome would finally permit. You ask for money and imagine relief. You ask for love and imagine being chosen. You ask for success and imagine being worthy. You ask for an answer and imagine peace. You ask for certainty and imagine safety. There is nothing wrong with wanting the external thing, but you do not have to postpone every inner experience until the external thing arrives. You can practice relief in small forms before the bank balance changes. You can practice self-respect before someone chooses you. You can practice worth without an audience. You can practice peace before the answer arrives. You can practice safety through real support, boundaries, planning, and care, even while uncertainty remains. This does not mean pretending you already have what you do not have. It means refusing to make your entire emotional life hostage to one future event. That is a powerful distinction. You can say, I still want this, and also say, I am not going to punish myself until it comes. You can say, this matters, and also say, my life is happening now. You can say, I hope, and also say, I do not need to monitor hope every hour. You can say, I am disappointed, and also say, disappointment is not a final judgment. The candle holds both, desire and life, hope and uncertainty, action and rest. You do not have to choose between caring and peace. You can care peacefully. That may be unfamiliar enough that your mind tries to turn it into another puzzle. How do I care peacefully? There it is again. The question. You do not need a complex answer. Start where the lamp usually switches on. When you reach for the phone the 5th time, stop before unlocking it. When you begin rewriting the same request in your head, hear the repetition. When you start searching for meaning in every detail, recognize the hunger for certainty. When you begin blaming your thoughts for everything that has gone wrong, return to proportion. When you feel the urge to prove that you believe, let belief be imperfect. When you catch yourself asking whether you are doing trust correctly, almost smile at the cleverness of the old habit. The lamp has found new vocabulary. That is all. Then return to the candle. You do not need to become frustrated. You do not need to begin again. You do not need to erase the last 10 minutes. A pattern can be interrupted in the middle. A day can change direction at 3:17 in the afternoon. A thought can be left unfinished. A question can remain unanswered. You can stop halfway through the interrogation. That may be one of the most liberating things you learn. You do not need a perfect beginning in order to make a different choice now. You do not need to wait until tomorrow. You do not need to restart the week. You do not need to declare a new version of yourself. You can only say, enough light, and reach for the switch. The candle is already there. the request is still on the table. Nothing has disappeared. Nothing needs to be recreated. The room is not asking for another confession. It is asking whether you are ready to live differently inside it. And soon, that difference will become a promise. Not a promise about what the universe must deliver. A promise about which light you will choose when uncertainty returns. That is a promise you can actually keep. Not because you control tomorrow. Not because you know what anyone else will do. Not because you have been given a guarantee about timing. You can keep it because the promise belongs to you. It concerns the atmosphere you create inside yourself when the old questions begin again. That is where your power lives. Not in forcing life to answer on demand. Not in making another person respond exactly as you hope. Not in preventing every delay. Not in removing every unknown. Your power is smaller than that. And because it is smaller, it is real. You can decide how long you remain beneath the harsh light. You can decide whether one unanswered question becomes a night of self-accusation. You can decide whether a delay becomes proof against your worth. You can decide whether fear is permitted to rewrite the meaning of what you have already expressed. You can decide whether the old lamp receives another hour of electricity. This is not control over life. It is stewardship of your own attention. There is dignity in that kind of stewardship. You begin to recognize that attention is precious. Where you place it matters. How long you leave it somewhere matters. The tone you use while paying attention matters. You can focus on a problem long enough to respond to it, then you can turn away. You can think about a decision long enough to choose, then you can rest. You can acknowledge a desire without making it the only object in the room. You can prepare for a conversation without conducting it 50 times in your head. You can care about what is coming and still give some of your attention to what is already here. This is what the candle has been teaching from the beginning. Enough light for what is present. No floodlight pointed at every possible future. No interrogation of every shadow. No demand that uncertainty surrender all its secrets tonight. Only the next true thing. Only the next honest choice. Only the next piece of life that is actually yours to touch. There may be a temptation to make this promise dramatically. The old part of the mind likes dramatic vows. Never again. I am done forever. I will never worry about this. I will never check again. I will never doubt. I will never repeat myself. Those promises sound powerful for a moment. Then an ordinary human day arrives. You feel tired. Something unexpected happens. A message is delayed. An old memory returns. Your confidence drops. You check. You worry. You repeat. Then the dramatic promise becomes another weapon. See? You failed again. This is why the vow needs a different quality. It does not need to deny the possibility that the old lamp will turn on. It needs to remind you that you know another light exists. That is enough. A real promise can include your humanity. It can make room for interruption. It can make room for returning. You do not have to promise that you will never feel fear. Promise that fear will not become the only voice in the room. You do not have to promise that you will never ask twice. Promise that you will recognize when the asking has become interrogation. You do not have to promise perfect trust. Promise a different kind of care. This is the promise. I tend the candle of trust instead of relighting the interrogation lamp. Let the words remain exactly as they are for a moment. I tend the candle of trust instead of relighting the interrogation lamp. There is no prediction inside that vow, no demand made of life, no bargain, no deadline. It is a promise about the light. The lamp may still be hanging the check. You are not pretending. It was never part of the room. You know the switch. You know the brightness. You know how easily the old questions can summon it. But you also know what happens after it comes on. The room narrows. Your worth moves to the witness chair. Every thought becomes evidence. Every delay becomes suspicious. The mind starts searching for guilt. You know that room now. And because you know it, you can make another choice sooner. I tend the candle of trust instead of relighting the interrogation lamp. Tend. That word matters. A candle is not controlled, it is tended. You protect the flame, you give it a place, you return when needed. You do not scream at it to burn brighter. You do not accuse it when it flickers. You do not tell it that a smaller flame means failure. You work with what is there. That is how you can begin treating trust. Some days the flame feels steady. Some days it feels small. Some days a strong emotion moves through the room and the flame bends. You do not call that collapse. You shield it. You become quieter. You move closer to what is true. There are days when tending trust means speaking a supportive sentence. There are days when it means turning off the phone for an hour. There are days when it means making the call you have been avoiding. There are days when it means asking a direct question rather than imagining 20 answers. There are days when it means accepting that you have no useful action available. There are days when it means asking for help. There are days when it means leaving a situation that repeatedly diminishes you. There are days when it means eating something, drinking water, resting, walking outside, or returning your attention to your body. There are days when trust is not mystical at all. It is practical. It is brushing your teeth while the future remains unresolved. It is making breakfast without opening the same message again. It is completing one task before checking for news. It is letting a conversation remain unfinished until tomorrow. It is going to work. It is coming home. It is washing a cup. It is opening a window. It is answering what needs an answer and leaving the rest alone. This is where the promise enters your day, not as a ceremony, as a way of moving. Imagine tomorrow morning, your eyes open. For a few seconds, the mind is quiet. Then the remembered question returns. Has anything changed? That is often the moment the lamp switches on. Before your feet have touched the floor, you are already searching. You reach toward the phone. You check the message, the account, the email, the result, the person, the number, the news. You can begin there, not with punishment, with awareness. The question has returned. You are not required to answer it immediately. Your morning does not have to begin inside the courtroom. You can place your feet on the floor first. You can open the curtain. You can drink water. You can let the first minutes belong to your actual life. The unanswered thing will still exist after breakfast. You do not lose control by waiting 20 minutes before checking. You may gain something. You may remember that you have a body before you become a bundle of questions. You may remember the room. You may remember the candle. This is how a new pattern becomes ordinary. Not through one enormous transformation, through small moments that used to belong automatically to the lamp. You reclaim them. 5 minutes here, one thought there, one decision not to check, one decision not to rewrite, one decision not to turn silence into a story. That is enough. Then the afternoon arrives. Perhaps you have done well for several hours. You have been working, talking, moving, living. Then something reminds you, a name, a date, a place, a number, a notification, a quiet moment. The question returns, what if? There is the old switch. The body may react before you decide anything. The stomach tightens. The chest becomes alert. The mind begins constructing possibilities. This is where you tend the candle, not by arguing with every possibility, by returning to what is real. What do I actually know? What is mine to do? Is there an action here? If yes, take it with care. If no, let the question rest. The question may protest. It may say, but I need to know. You can answer, I understand. Nothing more. You do not need to satisfy every frightened demand. A child may ask the same question many times because reassurance fades quickly. The answer does not need to become harsher each time. You can respond to your own frightened mind in the same way. I understand why you want certainty. We do not have it yet. We are still safe enough to continue this hour. That is candle language. Not dramatic, not absolute, present. Then evening comes. This can be the hour when the lamp is most persuasive. The tasks are finished. The room is quieter. There is less external noise to occupy attention. The mind begins opening drawers, old conversations, unanswered questions, future possibilities, things you almost forgot to worry about. There they are, waiting. You sit down. The day has given you no final answer. The lamp offers its old bargain. Give me another hour. I will solve it. You know this bargain. You have paid for it before. An hour becomes two. Two becomes exhaustion. You go to bed carrying 12 questions that were not any clearer at midnight than they were at 9. You do not need to purchase that bargain again. You can say, enough for today, not enough forever, enough for today. The request has been expressed. The useful actions have been taken. The rest is not available to solve right now. You can tend the candle. You can let the room be imperfectly lit. You can let something remain unknown. You can close the mental file without pretending the matter is finished. This is another skill anxiety rarely teaches. Something can be unfinished without being actively worked on. A conversation can be unfinished. A plan can be unfinished. A healing process can be unfinished. A relationship question can be unfinished. A decision can be unfinished. Your life contains unfinished things every day. You do not have to keep every one of them open in your mind. You can close the drawer. You know where it is. You can return when returning is useful. That is trust in practical form. It is not forgetting. It is deciding that remembering does not require constant attention. The candle remains. This promise can move with you into conversations too. You may have a habit of over-explaining because you are afraid that one clear sentence will not be enough. You say no. Then you explain. Then you soften the explanation. Then you add reassurance. Then you apologize. Then you wonder whether your no sounded rude. That is another interrogation lamp. You are allowed to express a boundary without putting the boundary on trial. You are allowed to say, that does not work for me. You are allowed to say, I need time. You are allowed to say, I am not available for that. You are allowed to say, I disagree. You are allowed to say, I need support. You are allowed to say, this hurt me. A clear sentence can stand. You do not have to surround every truth with enough explanation to make it impossible for anyone to dislike. Some people may misunderstand you. Some may disagree. Some may want more than you can give. The goal is not universal approval. The goal is honest participation in your own life. This is part of tending the candle. You stop shining the lamp into your own face every time someone else is disappointed. Their disappointment may contain information. It may deserve conversation. It does not automatically prove wrongdoing. You can listen without immediately confessing guilt. You can reflect without collapsing. You can care about impact without abandoning your own perspective. You can apologize when apology is true. You can decline guilt when guilt is not yours. Candlelight gives proportion. It helps you see more than one person in the room, more than one need, more than one truth. The interrogation lamp usually points in one direction, at you. Everything becomes your responsibility. The candle reveals the table itself. Relationships are shared spaces. Workplaces are shared spaces. Families are shared spaces. The world is full. The world is of causes and choices larger than one person. You do not need to carry every outcome as personal evidence. This promise can enter money worries too. Money can activate the lamp quickly because numbers feel concrete. You see a balance, a bill, a payment, a deadline. The mind may leap from one number to an entire imagined future. What if I never have enough? What if this always happens? What if I cannot recover? What if I made every wrong choice? The practical issue may be real. The catastrophic courtroom is optional. You can look at the number beside the candle. What is true? What is due? What can change? Who can advise? What resource is available? What action comes first? Then stop. You do not have to add shame to arithmetic. You do not have to turn a financial difficulty into a statement about your value as a human being. Numbers can require attention without requiring self-hatred. That is tending the flame. The same is true with health concerns. A symptom may need professional attention. A diagnosis may require treatment. A difficult day may require rest. The candle does not ask you to pretend your body is saying something other than what it is saying. It asks you not to turn care into blame. You can seek appropriate help. You can follow qualified guidance. You can ask questions. You can advocate for yourself. You can acknowledge fear. You can refuse the idea that being ill, exhausted, anxious, or in pain makes you spiritually guilty. The body is not on trial. Care for it, listen to it, support it, get help where help is needed. No interrogation lamp. The promise can enter love. This may be where it feels most tender. When you want to be loved, uncertainty can become personal very quickly. A delayed reply can feel like rejection. A change in tone can feel like a warning. A person's distance can awaken old memories. Then the lamp turns toward you. What did I do? What should I change? How can I become easier to love? The candle asks a different set of questions. What is actually happening? Is this relationship reciprocal? Are my needs respected? Can I speak openly here? Do I feel safe telling the truth? Am I shrinking myself to preserve connection? Those questions are not interrogation. They are wisdom. Trust does not mean trusting everyone. Sometimes trust means trusting yourself enough to believe repeated evidence. Sometimes the candle shows you that you have been waiting for a person to become someone they have repeatedly chosen not to be. Sometimes it shows you that your desire for love has been turned into an argument against your own boundaries. Sometimes it shows you that the answer is not another affirmation. The answer is a decision. There is courage in seeing that. There is also tenderness. You do not have to shame yourself for hoping. You can honor the hope and still choose reality. The candle can hold both. This is why the vow is not passive. I tend the candle of trust instead of relighting the interrogation lamp. Trust may lead to rest. Trust may lead to action. Trust may lead to a boundary. Trust may lead to a conversation. Trust may lead to waiting. Trust may lead to leaving. The light is not there to dictate one outcome. It is there to help you see without attacking yourself. Carry this into the rest of your day, not as another assignment, as a quiet reference point. When the mind starts questioning, remember the table. When the questions become sharper, remember the lamp. When you feel yourself searching for hidden guilt, remember the switch. When you have done what is yours, remember the candle. You do not have to picture it perfectly. You do not have to make the image vivid. You do not have to perform anything. Only remember the difference. Harsh light, soft light, interrogation, presence, demand, trust, proof, enough. That difference can become instinctive over time. You begin catching the old pattern earlier, at first perhaps after an hour, then after 20 minutes, then after 5. Eventually you hear the first question change tone. You know, this is no longer useful. You stop, you return. No applause, no dramatic transformation, only a new direction, again and again. This is how inner change often happens. Quiet repetition in the direction of kindness, not repetition of the request, repetition of the return. That distinction matters. You may repeat the return 1,000 times. Return to proportion, return to facts, return to the body, return to the present task, return to the boundary, return to the sentence that was already spoken, return to enough. The old pattern says, ask again. The new pattern says, return again. One multiplies the question, the other brings you home to yourself. You can begin carrying a few simple truths now, not as commands, as candle-sized thoughts. I have already spoken. My desire can rest. I do not need to prove it. I do not need to chase certainty. I can act without panic. I can wait without accusing myself. I can ask for help. I can change direction. I can protect my peace. I can respect reality. I can trust my next step. My worth is not being decided here. A delay is not a verdict. Silence is not automatically rejection. Doubt does not cancel sincerity. Fear does not make me guilty. I do not need perfect belief. I can choose willingness. I can return to enough. These words do not need to become another ritual. Take the ones that fit. Leave the ones that do not. Nothing bad happens because you forget a line. Nothing is lost because you do not repeat them in the correct order. They are here to support you. That is all. There is no hidden test. The candle asks nothing from you. It only gives light. Enough light to see the next sentence. I have been heard. I can rest the question. I have been heard. I can live this hour. I have been heard. I do not need to plead. I can breathe without proof. I can move without guarantees. I can hope without surveillance. I can care without gripping. I can wait without punishment. I can want without begging. I can choose without knowing everything. I can stop explaining. I can stop correcting. I can stop proving. I can return. I can trust. I can rest. The request can rest too. The room is still here. The candle is still here. You are still here. Nothing has been erased. Nothing needs another confession. You do not need another hearing. You do not need another argument. You do not need another version of the same request. Enough has been said. Enough has been expressed. Enough has been carried for this moment. You may let the questions become quieter now, not because every answer has arrived, because every question does not need to remain awake. You have a candle. You have a choice. You have this moment. Tend the light. Leave the lamp dark. There is more life outside that circle of harsh light than fear has been letting you see. That is what becomes possible now. Not a guaranteed outcome. Not a promise that every desire arrives exactly as imagined. Something more immediate. You get your life back from the question. You get the morning that was being spent checking. You get the afternoon that was being spent interpreting. You get the evening that was being spent rehearsing. You get the ordinary moments that uncertainty had quietly occupied. This is what changes when trust is no longer something you perform in order to receive an outcome. Trust becomes the way you treat yourself while the outcome remains unknown. That was the smaller truth waiting beside the candle. Trust is not only what you believe about tomorrow. It is what you refuse to do to yourself today. You refuse to turn uncertainty into an accusation. You refuse to make waiting proof of unworthiness. You refuse to demand emotional perfection before giving yourself peace. You refuse to put every doubt beneath the lamp. You refuse to use a desire as another reason to abandon the life already happening around you. That is a different kind of trust, a quieter one, a usable one. You can practice it while washing dishes, while answering emails, while walking down a familiar street, while sitting beside someone you love, while making a decision, while waiting for a decision you cannot make, while preparing, while resting, while beginning, while ending. Trust does not have to announce itself. It can look like not checking for 10 minutes, then 20. It can look like closing the search box. It can look like leaving the message alone. It can look like refusing to rewrite a conversation that has already happened. It can look like allowing tomorrow to contain information that today does not possess. That last one may be difficult. The mind wants tomorrow's information now. It wants the answer before the experience. It wants the map before the journey. It wants reassurance before the risk. It wants certainty before vulnerability. But life rarely offers that arrangement. You often understand the next chapter only after entering it. You often discover strength after the moment asks for it. You often recognize the meaning of a season after it has passed. You often see why one road changed only after another road becomes visible. And sometimes you never receive a perfect explanation. That does not mean your life has failed to make sense. It means explanation is not the only form of peace. Some peace comes from understanding. Some comes from releasing the demand to understand everything. The candle has been teaching you that too. It does not answer every question in the room. It changes your relationship with the room itself. You are no longer trapped beneath one beam. You can look around. You can stand. You can move. You can open the door. You can return later. You can let the question remain on the table without making the table your whole life. Perhaps that is the freedom you have wanted more than another answer. Freedom to care without carrying the question everywhere. Freedom to desire without making desire painful. Freedom to hope without turning hope into surveillance. Freedom to say what you mean and trust that the meaning existed even if the words were imperfect. You are allowed that freedom. You do not have to earn it by becoming fearless first. Fear can come with you. It simply does not need to hold the lamp. Think of the old room one more time. The chair, the table, the request, the lamp above it, the candle beside it. Nothing about the request has changed. That is important. You did not have to destroy the desire in order to find peace. You did not have to stop caring. You did not have to convince yourself that you never wanted it. You changed the light. That is all. The same desire looks different when you are not interrogating it. It becomes honest again, simple again, human again. I want this. That may be enough. I hope for this. Enough. This matters to me. Enough. I have asked. Enough. The mind may want to add another sentence. You can let the sentence end. This is a small form of freedom. Ending a sentence, ending a thought, ending a mental hearing before anxiety declares the case complete. You can leave something unfinished without being unfinished yourself. You can wait for an answer without becoming a waiting room. You can experience uncertainty without becoming uncertainty. You can have a desire without becoming only the person who wants. There are other parts of you. The part that laughs unexpectedly. The part that knows how to make something. The part that enjoys a familiar song. The part that can help someone. The part that likes quiet. The part that becomes curious. The part that knows when enough is enough. The part that wants beauty for no reason other than beauty. The part that remembers how sunlight looks on a wall. The part that can become absorbed in a conversation and forget the question for 20 minutes. That forgetting is not betrayal, it is life. Do not punish yourself for living while something is unresolved. You are not required to maintain constant emotional contact with your desire. It knows where you left it. The paper is still on the table. The candle still burns. You are permitted to walk outside the room. There are meals to eat, people to speak with, tasks to finish, things to learn, boundaries to keep, rest to receive, choices to make. There is a whole day that does not need to become evidence about whether your request is coming true. A quiet morning can simply be a quiet morning. A difficult afternoon can simply be difficult. A joyful moment does not have to mean your breakthrough is near. A disappointing moment does not have to mean it is gone. Everything does not need interpretation. That may be one of the greatest forms of relief available to you. An event can happen without becoming a sign. A feeling can move through you without becoming a prophecy. A thought can appear without becoming an instruction. A delay can exist without becoming rejection. A change of direction can occur without becoming punishment. You can let life be more ordinary. Ordinary does not mean meaningless. It means you stop forcing meaning into every detail because you are desperate for certainty. Certainty has been expensive. It has cost you hours. Sleep, attention, presence, sometimes joy, sometimes connection. You may have sat with people you loved while mentally checking a future they could not see. You may have walked through beautiful places while replaying one unanswered question. You may have received kindness and barely absorbed it because you were waiting for a different form of reassurance. This is not a reason to regret those moments. It is a reason to reclaim the next ones. The next cup of tea can be only tea. The next conversation can be only that conversation. The next hour does not have to answer your entire life. Let it be an hour that is candle-sized living. enough light for the hour, then another. You do not need to illuminate the next decade tonight. You do not need to solve every uncertainty before you sleep. You do not need to decide what one delay means forever. You can work in smaller distances. This step, this call, this boundary, this choice, this rest, this hour. That is how you return from the interrogation room, not through one dramatic escape, through ordinary exits, again, until one day you realize you have not sat beneath the lamp for a long time. It is still there in memory, but it no longer decides the atmosphere. That is possible. And if you return to the old room tomorrow, nothing has been lost. You know the difference now. You know what interrogation feels like. You know what presence feels like. You know that fear can sound intelligent while asking the same question 20 different ways. You know that an answer invented under pressure is not necessarily truth. You know that silence does not automatically accuse you. You know that your desire does not need to be defended every day. You know where the switch is. You know where the candle waits. That knowledge belongs to you now. You can carry it quietly. No ceremony, no perfection, no constant repetition. Only remembrance when it is useful. The old question may arrive, was I heard? You can answer once. Yes, I expressed what mattered. Then stop. The next question may arrive. Should I ask again? You can ask whether anything has actually changed. If new information requires a new question, ask it. If fear only wants another repetition, tend the candle. The next question, what if nothing happens? You can tell the truth. Then I will meet that reality when it is real. You do not have to live every possible disappointment before one has arrived. That habit does not protect you. It makes you pay emotional costs for futures that may never occur. You can keep your energy here, with what is real, with what can be touched, with what can be chosen. The future does not become safer because you suffer for it in advance. You may prepare, you may plan, you may protect yourself wisely. Then you may stop. Preparation has edges. Fear does not. Learn the edge. This is enough for today. Those words can become a doorway. Enough for today. Enough thinking. Enough reading. Enough correcting. Enough proving. Enough questioning. Enough standing beneath the light. You can move now, and there may be one final resistance. A part of you may still say, if I stop repeating the request, am I really trusting, or am I just giving up? Look at the candle. Giving up would require you to deny what you want. You are not doing that. Giving up would require you to say the desire never mattered. You are not doing that. Giving up would require you to close your heart because you were afraid of disappointment. You are not doing that. You are saying something far more courageous. This matters to me, and I will not injure myself with it. That is not surrendering the desire. That is removing the weapon. The desire was never meant to become one. You can hold hope with an open hand. You can let life respond in ways you cannot command. You can take the actions that belong to you. You can revise your plans when reality gives you new information. You can grieve if something does not unfold as hoped. You can celebrate when something beautiful arrives. You can remain human through all of it. That is enough. Trust is not immunity from disappointment. It is not certainty that every request receives the answer you prefer. Trust is the decision not to turn every unknown into a verdict before the story is complete. And sometimes the story changes. Sometimes what you wanted changes. Sometimes you learn more. Sometimes you discover that a request came from an older version of you. Sometimes a different path becomes more honest. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to ask a new question because you have genuinely changed. That is different from repeating the old question because fear cannot tolerate silence. You will know the difference more often as you practice. One feels open, the other feels tight. One creates movement, the other creates another loop. One gives information, the other demands reassurance. You do not need to diagnose every moment perfectly. Return to the candle when you remember. That is all. Return. Do not prosecute the minutes when you forgot. Return. Do not count how many times the lamp came on. Return. Do not make your progress another question. Return. This is how the room changes. Not through force, through repetition of kindness. The request rests. You return. Fear speaks. You return. The mind checks. You return. A delay happens. You return. A difficult day comes. You return. Nothing is wasted. No mistake requires a new trial. You are learning another atmosphere. Let these next words become smaller now, not stronger, smaller. The candle does not need a speech. I have asked. I have spoken. I have been honest. My desire can rest. My heart can rest. I can live now. I can move now. I can choose now. I can breathe now. I do not need proof. I do not need a verdict. I do not need another hearing. Silence can be neutral. Waiting can be human. Doubt can pass through. Fear can pass through. I remain worthy. I remain whole. I can seek support. I can protect myself. I can use wisdom. I can change course. I can say no. I can say yes. I can ask once. I can stop. I can return. I can trust. I can tend the light. The lamp can stay dark. The question can rest. I am still here. My life is still here. This hour is mine. This breath is mine. This choice is mine. No interrogation. No confession. No hidden guilt. No spiritual punishment. No perfect wording. No perfect mood. No perfect belief. Only willingness. Only truth. Only enough. I have asked. It has been expressed. I can rest. I can live. I can return. Enough for now. Enough light. Enough proof. Enough questioning. The candle remains. The room softens. The table is quiet. The request rests. You may rest from it too. If your attention wandered while listening, nothing has been lost. You did not fail to receive these words because your mind moved elsewhere. You do not need to replay every sentence to make the meaning valid. You do not have to memorize the affirmation. You do not have to return to the beginning because you missed a paragraph. You are not being tested on concentration. Take what stayed with you. Let the rest go. Perhaps one image remains. A dark lamp, a small candle, a request resting on a table. That is enough. If only one sentence remains, let it be the one that makes room rather than pressure. I trust that what I have asked for has been heard, and I release the need to ask again. If even that feels too large tomorrow, return to willingness. I am willing to stop interrogating what I have already expressed. No battle, no demand. A little less pressure, a little more room. The universe heard you the first time. You do not have to keep repeating the request. You can speak again when there is genuinely something new to say. You can take action when action belongs to you. You can seek help when support is needed. You can alter the path when wisdom changes the direction. But you do not have to beg silence to reassure you. Your peace deserves more respect than that. You deserve a relationship with your own mind that does not require endless cross-examination. You deserve to experience desire without placing yourself under suspicion. You deserve to have hope and still have a day. If you want to mark this moment, choose one word for what you want beside the candle from here. Trust, peace, enough, release, steadiness, or another word that belongs entirely to you. Leave only that word in the comments, not as another request, not as something you must repeat until life obeys, only as a quiet choice about the atmosphere you want to return to. One word, then let it rest. No explanation is required. The candle understands short sentences, and when the old lamp calls you back, remember that you do not have to destroy it. You do not have to fight with the person you were beneath it. You can thank that frightened part of you for trying so hard to find certainty. Then reach for the switch. Return to what is true. The request was sincere. The uncertainty is human. The future does not need to confess itself tonight. Your life can continue before every answer arrives. That is the freedom. That is what was waiting outside the circle of harsh light. You were never required to remain seated there. The chair was never a sentence. The room was never a courtroom. The question was never proof of guilt. You were a human being wanting something deeply and trying to make uncertainty hurt less. Now you know another way. You can tend the candle. You can trust what has already been spoken. You can let the unanswered part remain quiet. You can walk toward the door. The light does not need to follow you everywhere. Carry only enough to see your next honest step. All is well. The lamp can remain dark. The candle can keep its quiet place. Your request can rest without disappearing, and you can leave the room in peace. The candle is enough.